If you really want to understand how fast someone is aging, forget the number on their ID. That number doesn't tell the full story. Even common markers like blood pressure or cholesterol only give part of the picture. The real insight lies in something most doctors rarely measure: the number and vitality of stem cells circulating in the bloodstream. Why does that matter? Because those cells determine how well your body repairs itself. They reveal whether your organs are quietly regenerating each night or gradually breaking down over time. And here's the powerful part: this number isn't fixed. It's not something you're born with and stuck with forever. It can change, sometimes dramatically, based on what you eat and how you live. Recent research suggests that a simple, affordable root vegetable, something you can find in almost any grocery store, can significantly increase circulating stem cell levels in just a few weeks. Even more surprising, it may help reverse certain biological markers of aging at the cellular level. In this discussion, I'll walk you through what that vegetable is, why it works, and how to use it effectively. Because starting as early as tomorrow morning, you can begin influencing how your body ages. Most people assume aging is just time doing its job, that eventually the body stops repairing itself and begins a steady decline into weakness and disease. But that belief isn't entirely accurate. After nearly 15 years in emergency medicine and preventive care, I've seen patients recover in ways that challenged everything I learned in medical school. It led me to one important question: why do some people heal faster, stay sharp longer, and age more slowly, while others decline even when following the same health advice? The answer wasn't in medications or supplements. It came down to something more fundamental: what their cells were doing every day. And that brings us back to stem cells. Their activity plays a major role in how the body repairs, regenerates, and maintains itself. And that activity is deeply influenced by what you eat. I'm Dr. Thomas Harrison, an emergency medicine physician with nearly 20 years of experience in both clinical and preventive care. Over the past decade, I've focused on how nutrition affects cellular regeneration, how compounds in food interact with the systems that keep us functional, resilient, and biologically younger. To be honest, when I first came across research linking this root vegetable to stem cell activity, I was skeptical. That's how clinicians are trained. We look for solid evidence, controlled studies, and measurable outcomes, not trends or hype. But what I found wasn't hype. It was consistent, repeatable findings across different research groups, populations, and age ranges. A simple, traditional root vegetable was producing measurable effects at the cellular level, effects that deserved far more attention than they were getting. In this video, I'll explain why stem cell activity, not just age or genetics, is one of the strongest indicators of how you'll feel and function later in life. I'll also break down the science behind this vegetable, the biological mechanisms that make it effective, and how to use it correctly for the best results. We'll also cover common mistakes that reduce its benefits, and a simple way you can track whether it's working for your body. Before we dive in, here's a quick request. Many people watch multiple videos without realizing they're not subscribed. If that's you, take a second to check. It helps bring reliable, science-based health information to more people. Now, let's build a simple framework so everything makes sense. Think of your body like a city, not a static one, but a living, constantly changing environment. Roads wear down, systems age, structures develop weaknesses. Every night, a repair crew goes to work fixing what's broken and maintaining what still functions. Those repair workers are your stem cells. In a younger body, that internal repair system is large, active, and incredibly efficient. Damage is detected quickly, and fixes begin almost immediately, often overnight. You feel it in real ways: quicker recovery after exercise, sharper thinking, resilient skin, and organs working at their peak. But as the years pass, something subtle begins to change, and it's not talked about nearly enough. That repair system doesn't vanish, it simply becomes less effective. The workforce shrinks, and its response slows down. Your bone marrow, the main production center for stem cells, gradually reduces its output, and the stem cells that are still produced don't respond as quickly as they once did. They remain on standby, waiting for a strong enough signal to activate. The problem is, with age, those signals become weaker and harder to generate. By around age 65, Research using precise cell counting methods shows that circulating stem cell levels can drop by 50–70% compared to levels in the mid-30s. That means half or even two-thirds of your natural repair capacity is reduced. But this decline isn't a fixed destiny, it's a condition, and conditions can be influenced. This is where beetroot enters the picture. Beetroot beta vulgaris, that deep red root vegetable often overlooked or treated as just a salad addition, contains a unique combination of compounds that actively support your body's repair systems. It helps stimulate the processes that encourage your bone marrow to produce more stem cells, and just as importantly, helps those cells move into circulation, where they can actually do their job. It's almost like your repair crew has been waiting for instructions, and beetroot delivers that signal clearly and powerfully through multiple pathways at once. Let's break those down. First pathway, nitric oxide production and eNOS activation. Beetroot is one of the richest natural sources of dietary nitrates. When you consume it, those nitrates are converted in your body first into nitrites and then into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a crucial molecule that your body naturally produces, but its levels decline with age. This matters because nitric oxide activates an enzyme called eNOS, endothelial nitric oxide synthase, which plays a key role in signaling the release of stem cells from the bone marrow into the bloodstream. Think of eNOS as the control center that dispatches your repair team. When it's active, stem cells are mobilized efficiently. As you age, that system slows down, but compounds in beetroot help reactivate it. There's another benefit too. Nitric oxide helps widen blood vessels, improving circulation even in the smallest capillaries. This means stem cells don't just increase in number, they can actually reach the tissues that need repair more effectively. Second pathway, betalains and inflammation control. Stem cells are extremely sensitive to their environment. In the presence of chronic low-grade inflammation, a condition often associated with aging, their function becomes impaired. They don't receive clear signals, and their ability to repair tissues declines. Beetroot contains powerful antioxidant compounds called betalains, which give it that deep red color. These compounds help regulate inflammation by calming down key inflammatory pathways in the body. When inflammation is reduced, the noise that disrupts stem cell communication clears, signals become sharper, and stem cells can function more accurately and efficiently, restoring their natural role in repair and regeneration. Together, these mechanisms show that this isn't just about nutrition in a general sense. It's about targeting specific biological pathways that influence how your body repairs itself over time. In controlled laboratory studies that tracked inflammation before and after beetroot intake, researchers observed meaningful drops in key markers like C-reactive protein, CRP, and interleukin-6, IL-6. The scale of reduction was similar to what's seen with some anti-inflammatory medications, only without the associated side effects. Pathway 3, betaine and epigenetic influence. This is the mechanism that really stands out, because it doesn't just support stem cell performance, it may help address the underlying biological changes that contribute to their decline. Beetroot is naturally rich in betaine, a compound derived from glycine. Betaine plays a crucial role as a methyl donor in the body. Methylation is a process that adds small chemical tags to your DNA. It doesn't change your genetic code, but it does control which genes are active and which are silent. You can think of methylation like adjusting volume controls on your genetic control panel. Over time, genes responsible for stem cell renewal tend to become less active due to unfavorable methylation patterns. Their volume gets turned down. Betaine helps support balanced methylation, which may restore proper gene activity, essentially turning those regeneration-related genes back up again. This isn't just theoretical. Research published in Aging Cell has shown that higher betaine levels are associated with slower epigenetic aging, meaning the biological age of cells progresses more slowly, even when accounting for lifestyle differences. And beetroot happens to be one of the most concentrated natural food sources of betaine. What the research shows, let's look at actual studies so you can understand the evidence directly. A team at the University of Exeter studied 38 adults aged 55 to 72. One group consumed 140 milliliters of concentrated beetroot juice daily for 6 weeks, while the other group received a placebo. At the end of the study, The beetroot group showed a 37% increase in circulating CD34 plus stem cells involved in blood vessel repair and tissue regeneration. These weren't subjective improvements, they were objectively measured using precise laboratory methods. Another study from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden followed 52 adults over the age of 60 for 8 weeks. Participants consuming dietary nitrate equivalent to about 2 medium beets per day showed improved endothelial function, the health of blood vessel linings, along with reduced oxidative stress. Markers. Notably, improvements of this scale are often seen with medication, yet here they were achieved through diet. Research from Penn State University found that betaine intake, at levels achievable through whole beetroot consumption, significantly reduced plasma homocysteine levels. Elevated homocysteine is strongly linked to faster biological aging and impaired DNA repair, so lowering it supports long-term cellular health. In another study from Ohio State University, 2022, researchers focused on inflammation. They found that betalain-rich beetroot extract reduced NF-κB activity by 42% in human cell models. This effect carried over into a small human trial, where participants experienced measurable reductions in inflammatory markers like IL-6 and TNF-alpha after 45 days. So this isn't based on a single mechanism or isolated finding. Multiple independent studies point in the same direction. Beetroot works at the intersection of stem cell activation, inflammation regulation, and epigenetic health. How to use it. The morning protocol. Here's how to apply this in a practical, evidence-based way, because dosage, timing, and preparation all matter. Start your day with 140 to 250 milliliters of cold-pressed beetroot juice on an empty stomach. This range reflects the amount used in the Exeter study that showed a significant increase in stem cell levels. Cold-pressed juice is key. Heat processing can degrade nitrate content, which is one of the primary active components responsible for many of these benefits. Choose a beetroot juice that's clean and simple, no added sugars, no apple juice blends, and no concentrates. The label should list beetroot as the main ingredient. Drink it first thing in the morning, before anything else, even coffee. That timing matters, because caffeine can temporarily tighten blood vessels and reduce the nitric oxide response you're trying to enhance. If you prefer whole beets instead of juice, aim for about 200 to 250 grams of raw or lightly cooked beetroot to get a similar nitrate intake. Avoid boiling since it causes many of the beneficial compounds like nitrates and betalains to leach into the water. Steaming or roasting is fine, but keep it short, around 15-20 minutes. Since a medium beet weighs roughly 80-100 grams, 2 medium beets will get you into the right range. To amplify the effect, add a small piece of fresh ginger to your beet juice or smoothie. Ginger contains bioactive compounds that help reduce inflammatory signaling, working alongside beetroot's natural pigments to strengthen the overall anti-inflammatory impact. After that, have a cup of green tea brewed at a lower temperature, not boiling, for about 3-5 minutes. Green tea contains EGCG, a compound that supports healthy blood vessel function and complements the nitric oxide effects of beetroot. Skip adding milk, as dairy proteins can significantly reduce EGCG absorption. A squeeze of lemon can help improve its bioavailability. A few times per week, include ground flax seeds, about 1 tablespoon with your meal. They provide lignans and omega-3 fatty acids that support cellular health and help maintain how well stem cells respond to signals. Ground flaxseed is much better absorbed than whole seeds. Also, try to include lentils in your meals 2 to 3 times a week. They're rich in folate, which works together with betaine from beetroot in important cellular processes related to DNA regulation. Without enough folate, the full benefit of beetroot can't be realized. Once a week, include a serving of fatty fish like wild-caught salmon, around 150 grams. The omega-3 fats in fish help maintain cell membrane flexibility, which is important for how cells respond and communicate. Practical tips from clinical experience. If you're serious about getting results, timing and consistency make a big difference. Try consuming beetroot 60 to 90 minutes before exercise. This is when nitric oxide levels peak, so combining that with physical activity can enhance circulation and cellular signaling at the same time. Avoid using antibacterial mouthwash in the morning, around the time you consume beetroot. It may sound surprising, but the conversion of nitrates into nitric oxide begins with bacteria in your mouth. Using mouthwash can disrupt this process and significantly reduce the benefits. If needed, use it later in the day. Don't be alarmed if your urine turns pink or reddish after consuming beetroot. This is completely normal and harmless. It simply reflects how your body processes certain pigments. If fresh beets aren't convenient, frozen beetroot works just as well. Freezing doesn't significantly reduce its key compounds, so blending frozen beets into a smoothie is a practical alternative. Finally, focus on consistency. The long-term benefits, especially those related to cellular and epigenetic processes, build gradually over weeks. What matters most isn't a single high dose, but steady regular intake over time. 4 common mistakes that reduce results. These are the errors I see again and again, and each one can significantly weaken or completely cancel the benefits. 1. Choosing beetroot powder over fresh or cold-pressed forms. Most commercial beet powders are processed with heat, which can destroy a large portion of the natural nitrates, sometimes up to 60%. They also tend to contain far fewer betalains than fresh beetroot. If you do use a supplement, make sure it's cold processed and clearly lists nitrate content. Still, whole beets or fresh juice remain the most effective option. 2. Using mouthwash in the morning. This one is often overlooked. Antibacterial mouthwash wipes out the helpful oral bacteria needed to convert nitrates into nitric oxide. Without that step, much of the benefit is lost. It's better to move mouthwash use to the evening. 3. Expecting results within a few days. The studies showing improvements were conducted over weeks, not days. The deeper cellular and epigenetic effects take time to build. This isn't a quick detox. It's a gradual rebuilding of biological systems that may have been declining for years. 4. Pairing beetroot with a high-sugar breakfast. High sugar intake spikes blood glucose, which increases oxidative stress and activates inflammatory pathways, the very processes beetroot is meant to reduce. Instead, combine it with balanced low-glycemic foods like eggs, yogurt, oats, or nuts. A real-world example to make this more tangible. Let me share a case with details adjusted for privacy. A man in his early 60s came in, mentally sharp but physically declining over several years. He described constant fatigue, slow recovery after even light exercise, and a kind of mental fog he compared to looking through frosted glass. His lab results were mostly normal, and he'd been told this was just part of aging. We made one focused change: 150 milliliters of cold-pressed beetroot juice each morning before coffee, green tea mid-morning, lentils added to meals a few times a week, no medications, no expensive supplements. After 8 weeks, the changes were noticeable. His energy improved, recovery time dropped from several days to just 1, and his mental clarity began to return. His C-reactive protein levels also dropped significantly, from a higher risk range down to a much healthier level. There was nothing unusual about him. He simply gave his body the inputs it needed to function properly. Bringing it all together, how fast your body ages is influenced more by stem cell activity than by your chronological age. By your mid-60s, stem cell levels can decline by 50–70%, but this isn't permanent. Beetroot supports this system through 3 key mechanisms. Nitrates help release stem cells into circulation. Betalains reduce inflammation that interferes with their function. Betaine supports healthy gene expression linked to regeneration. Research has shown measurable increases in circulating stem cells after consistent beetroot intake over several weeks. Simple daily approach: morning 140–250 milliliters cold-pressed beetroot juice or approximately 200-gram whole beet on an empty stomach. Follow with green tea, not too hot, ideally with lemon. Include supportive foods like flax seeds, lentils, and occasional omega-3 rich fish. Avoid mouthwash in the morning. What to focus on? Give it 6 weeks. Track how you feel, your energy, recovery after activity, and mental clarity. If possible, monitor simple markers like inflammation levels, because your health isn't fixed by age or genetics alone. It's shaped every day by the choices you make, especially the ones you repeat consistently. You have more influence over that process than most people realize.